Hey there, friends and enemies, Joper here again, and today I'm going over my most anticipated RPGs of 2024, Part 1. This is going to be the 5 games I'm most looking forward to releasing between now and the end of April. All of these RPGs are going to be bangers, but if there's any that I missed and you think should be added to this list instead, let me know in the comments down below, but everyone has their personal preference. I'm going to cover these in release date order. So first off, we are talking about Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. And if you missed it, recently I covered the demo for this game, which is just a snippet of the entirety of Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. And I do have some questions about this game. It's one that I was on the fence about a little bit, just because the juxtaposition of having a complete single player campaign that you have to beat before you can get to this awesome co-op endgame missions was a little jarring for me, but after some time to think about it, I'm still very excited. I'm a big fan of Grand Blue Fantasy, so this is a game I've been looking forward to for a long time. That design decision just caught me off guard, and I don't think it's the best way to handle this. I wish you could either play the single player campaign or the co-op missions, and either or would be fine. Hopefully they change that in the future, but there's a lot of reasons to be excited about this. The single player campaign looks like it's going to be fun at the very least. Lots of different characters to check out. The co-op missions, especially in a group, are an absolute blast, combining a bit of Monster Hunter feeling with a RPG MMO, which is very cool in my opinion. There's a lot of different characters to try out and play, and all of them have the unique skill sets and play styles that make the game exciting. I'm really looking forward to all that. The demo allowed you to play as a bunch of different characters, and it really feels like once you find the specific character that fits your playstyle, the game feels so much better. This game, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, is releasing on February 1st. And next up, we have a absolute Game of the Year nominee contender, and that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is one of those games that really needs no introduction because of how much people are looking forward to it. Final Fantasy VII Remake was an absolute blast to play. It was so much fun. It was so well done. The combat system was unique. It felt like it kept some of the old things we loved about turn-based combat, with including a little bit more action elements. And I liked that option. I liked the fact that you can kind of go either way with the combat. Once you got to the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, I think combat got even better, allowing you to do your summons even during more regular battles. So I think that's something that I hope they do introduce in Rebirth. Rebirth is adding a lot of fun stuff as well. You've got an open world map, which again could be hit or miss, but I like the idea in general. You can ride chocobos on all characters, including Red, which is hilarious. You've got the Golden Saucer. You've got a bunch of characters you weren't really able to play with in your party in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, from Red to Yuffie, who's now joining the rest of the crew. You've got Kate Sith. There's just a lot of different options now that I'm really excited about. The story has changed from what we knew from the original Final Fantasy VII, and I personally think that's fine. It's going to keep people on the edge of their toes. You might get some playtime as either Sephiroth or Zack. There's just so many things out there, and they keep throwing a lot of new information out, and I just want the game to be here already, because this is going to be a game that I am going to lose myself in 100%. It looks phenomenal, and it drops on February 29th, so not too long to wait. That's the only downside with this list. There's so many titles releasing, almost one on top of the other. And the next game doesn't release too far after Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that is Unicorn Overlord. This is a game I was not really expecting to hit me in the same way that it does, but it feels like a lot of the throwback RPGs that I am looking for. Just a classic JRPG style. You've got an overland map where you can have battles with different enemies. You take over fortresses. It's got the turn-based combat, and the cooking looks absolutely amazing. I don't talk about cooking in video games all that often, but Unicorn Overlord is the exception. The food looks so good that I would eat it right out of my screen. It is crazy. There's just a lot of systems that feel very exciting for traditional JRPG fans, and that's what I'm looking forward to. I think the story could be interesting. I'm not really 100% sure on how that's going to be handled. I think there's a lot of different options for making your playthrough feel unique compared to everyone else's, which I like a lot, compared to a more linear game like a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I do like the aspect that you can build up your team, you can take over towns, and not only can you take over towns, but once you liberate them, you're able to upgrade them as well. And I think those are aspects in video games that are not utilized often enough. So I'm really excited about this game. It's a shame it's releasing just a week after Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because a lot of people are going to be distracted, and this one might fly under the radar. But that's another reason why I did want to mention it, because I do think it's going to be an absolute blast. And if you want a more traditional JRPG, Unicorn Overlord, releasing on March 8th, is the one for you. Next up, we have a game that I was late to the party for the original, and that is Dragon's Dogma 2. This is a fantastic looking game, very Monster Hunter meets The Witcher type vibes, where essentially you'll be traveling around with a group, the group being your pawns. The pawn system, much like the other systems that are uniquely identifying to certain developers, Dragon's Dogma 2 has this pawn system that is absolutely a blast. Essentially, you can have these different AI allies fighting on your side, which is fine. You can customize them, upgrade them, level them up, add gear, all that kind of good stuff. But you can also use your friends' pawns as well. And that's really where things get interesting. Whether you have a friend who has an insanely overpowered pawn, or you have a friend who has a very unique pawn, that is something that I very much like. They're also adding some other options. You have these battles against these monsters that are going to take a little while. You got to chip away at them, essentially. And it just feels like it's going to be a really fun game if you like this type of style. I know it's not going to be for everyone, but I really enjoy this type of combat. The vocations look very interesting. Those are essentially the classes where you can pick which one is the best for you. Even one that you can upgrade to later on in the game called the Trickster, which doesn't actually do any damage. It just buffs its allies and stuff like that, and does trickery type stuff. So there's a lot of interesting concepts with Dragon's Dogma 2, and I think what I'm saying here doesn't even do the game justice, because it is going to be one of those games that you have to really play to get a feel for, and I'm just very excited about it. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to being a day one player in comparison with Dragon's Dogma Original, which I was very late to the party for. This releases Dragon's Dogma 2 on March 22nd. And then finally, we have Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. This is a spiritual successor to Suikoden, my favorite RPG franchise outside of Final Fantasy of all time, and for that reason I'm extremely excited about this one. You can recruit up to 100 characters. You upgrade your base by recruiting different characters and opening up different shops and everything like that, and you have your traditional JRPG turn-based battles. And one of my favorite things is the fact that you get up to 6 characters in your party at a time, which normal RPGs, you'll have like 3 or 4. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's very, very exciting. And overall, having played Ayuden Chronicle Rising, I think the world building is very well done. From seeing all the different trailers, there's a lot of interesting characters to check out as well. The story looks like it's going to be an absolute blast. And there are so many features of this game that fit the type of RPG that I am looking for. It is very much a throwback pixel RPG, but the style looks like it's been upgraded and modernized, which I'm really excited about. Anyway, that game releases on April the 23rd, and that's an early birthday present for me, which I am extremely hyped about. But yeah, all of those games are going to be excellent. I think if I had to rank them, I would probably go with Final Fantasy VII, Dragon's Dogma, Eiyuden Chronicle, Unicorn Overlord, and then finally Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. But I could go either way, and I think each one of them is going to be a banger in their own rights. So let me know in the comments down below, of these 5, which are you most excited about? And if there's any other RPGs that I might have missed, which ones, like Persona, would you replace them with? I'd love to hear from you guys. My name is Jopa. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.